was born for the arena. On my squad, we trust the spirits for guidance. No one gets left behind. Not even a pink skin. And when our backs are to the wall, I call on the elements to even the odds. The name's Rehgar. Heroes of the Storm. I am the Storm!
What'd you guys think of the ominous Rehgar video? I liked how it was like, Josh is in the background now.
Totally.
There's our new video, guys. I think that was awesome. Anyway,
cool.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Josh RZ here, community manager of Heroes of the Storm, and welcome to the new Developer Insights. We renamed it from Dev Q&A. Why? Because it sounds better. That's all. That was. So we're gonna be talking about 4 things today. We're talking about Rehgar, our brand new hero. We've also got a brand new battleground, Garden of Terror. We're talking about the progression system update, and of course, artifacts. And right after we're done with all of that, we're doing a Shoutcast with Kevin Knocke. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. All right, intros. We got the one and only Dustin Browder, director, Heroes of the Storm, and we also have Matt Cooper, game designer for Heroes of the Storm. Guys, how are you doing?
Very, very good. It's very cool to be here. It's cool to be able to do these kinds of videos and talk to the community just as we're about to go out with a big update. It's very, very cool.
Awesome timing.
Yeah.
And I also know we're doing conventions, a lot of them this summer. What do we got going on?
Well, you're going to...
I'm going to China Joy, hopefully next week.
Right.
We'll see. You're doing PAX?
I am doing PAX. I got a chance to do PAX East this year, which I'd never been to PAX, which was an awesome show. I highly recommend anybody who's a nerd or a geek or a gamer of any kind who wants to go to show. PAX is really cool. And so I really got excited. Oh, there's a PAX Prime? What's that about? Let's do that, right? And so we're getting to go do that this year. So it'll be a lot of fun to be there, show the game, talk with players. Really excited about it. We've got guys going out to Gamescom in Europe here over the summer as well. And of course, we got BlizzCon sort of in the fall. So lots of exciting shows, lots of chances to really connect with players and talk about the game. So it's very cool.
Very cool. And by the way, Matt, the flight to China is 400 hours.
Easily.
Plus or minus a couple hundred hours.
I would say it's pretty accurate. I did the math. All right, here we are. Enjoy those watered-down beverages. Let's jump right into it. Matt, tell me about Rehgar.
Yeah, so Rehgar's our new support hero coming out in the Heroes 5 patch. He's the most aggressive support character we've ever done, which is pretty cool. And kind of, I'd say the key thing that makes him kind of who he is his ability to transform into a wolf, and that's both his his trait and his mount power. It works a little bit differently. He doesn't get knocked out of it when he takes damage. He can transform into it while he's moving, so you can definitely use it in combat a lot.
Right.
But every time he attacks and uses abilities, he's going to pop back into his orc form, right? So he's still going to be in his orc form probably most of the time, but anytime he's moving around the map, or if he wants to do a little bit of extra damage in combat, he's going to be switching into his wolf.
Cool.
And he's, like I said, he's very aggressive. He's a melee character. He's pretty tanky, probably near like where Uther would be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, depending on kind of which way you spec him, you're either going to be the guy who's going after their weak DPS characters, or you might be kind of more of a backline support.
Oh, very cool. It sounds actually, wow, this sounds like a really diverse kit that you guys have for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, very cool.
So we can go into a few of the abilities, I guess.
Absolutely.
I already talked a little bit about the Spirit Wolf, which is his trait. But yeah, so he can transform into this while he's moving around. Damage doesn't knock it out, and we've taken the opportunity to make a bunch of talents around this. We can't really do a lot of talents for like the normal mount power, but for this, absolutely. We have a talent that cloaks him when he first enters his form. We have a talent that he lunges at enemies from the wolf with his first attack, and does like a critical hit.
Nice.
Gains extra mana and health regeneration while he's moving around his wolf. So a lot of cool different gameplay elements you can do there. And because he can always chase people down or run away, he can play very aggressive, right? He can kind of walk that line of, should I get out or should I keep chasing? Well, he can kind of always run away, See, there's that fine line to walk, which is pretty fun.
That's awesome. Okay, so did you want to run down the other abilities too, like the Q, the W? Okay.
So his Q is, kind of the core support ability, right? That's his chain healing. It's not going to do as much healing as, say, Uther's Holy Light to a single target, but because you are hitting multiple targets, there's, some collateral healing. So, more experienced players will try and get the most out of, healing 2 or 3 injured allies. So that's kind of what you would spec into if you want to play more of the support role. Lightning Shield is his W ability. Lightning Shield puts you can use it on yourself, on an allied hero, minions, and it does AoE damage around that target. So, you can drop it on yourself, walk into the middle of a minion wave, do a bunch of damage, throw it on an allied hero. And of course, we have talents that when I cast this on an allied hero, that hero has, more powerful auto attacks and stuff. So that's kind of that's the ability you're going to be leaning towards if you're going the more aggressive Rehgar.
And it stays on you even if you pop into wolf form too, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's the gameplay of trying to cast it on yourself, then hopping into wolf form and chasing someone down. So that's really cool.
Very cool.
Earthbind Totem is his E ability. So this is it's a little bit different than our normal slows because most slows, like say a Thunderclap on Murden or whatever, goes on the ground, lasts a little while, and that's it. Whereas this, you can cast it from range. It's going to persist a little while longer, but it's a totem, so players can kill it. And then, of course, there's the added gameplay of casting Lightning Shield on your totem, so you can now, drop your totem in the middle of a creep wave. Maybe, you didn't want to get in there, a little too dangerous, and you can put your Lightning Shield on that totem, to clear that creep wave. But of course, if the enemy player kills that totem, it's kind of, they also killed your lightning spell.
So there's probably some tactics into throwing in a bush or something, trying to hide the totem as much as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've definitely seen gameplay, on gardens or any of our other battlegrounds where, you're taking up objective and you're not sure the enemy could be coming, so you can place the totem. It's got a little bit of cast range, a little bit of vision, and it'll kind of act like a little bit of a spotter for you, which is pretty fun.
I, on the other hand, throw it in the middle of the lane and then do the taunt as in, what's up?
It's one way to play.
You can do that.
It's not.
That's your
it's
choice.
not a good way
It's
to
not
play.
the high skill cap individual on this character, but it's one way to play.
No one's ever accused me of that. Okay. And now talk to me about his R1, R2.
Right, so his heroic abilities. Bloodlust is his R1. This is a point blank. It's going to be kind of right around where Rehgar is. It's going to affect Rehgar and allied heroes, give them a big movement speed boost and a bunch of attack speed for a little while. So this is definitely, you could use it a little bit, if you want to run away because of the move speed, but it's more, this is the time to fight. Let's hit this ability, let's go in, and we're going to do a lot more damage and be hard to run away from. And then, so that's definitely like you're playing the aggressive Rehgar, maybe you have another support on your team. The other ability he can go for is the more, support, keep your team alive. So that's ancestral healing. Huge heal, biggest heal we have in the game. And when we first put it in, it was a complete heal, which, there were some problems. You would be healing an allied Stitches who was missing 7,000 health or whatever, and give him a complete heal. So that was a little...
It was a full heal.
Oh, good. Good.
It was from 1% to 100 is what it was.
Exactly.
That's not rage-inducing.
No, it was a little too much.
Yeah,
It wasn't even the balance guys.
For the balance guys, we definitely want to give them the tool because, at that point it was like, well, we can make the cooldown longer, but there wasn't a lot for them to do. So we, now it's still a very large heal, right? Our largest heal in the game, but it's not going to be 7,000 health, right? But so that combined with your chain healing, especially if you spec into some of the chain healing talents, you can start to play more of the backline support. So if you don't want to necessarily get in there, maybe you have another support on your team. Maybe it's kind of a dangerous team comp to go in on. You can definitely play a bit more backline.
Now, would you recommend this hero for new players, or is this a little bit more advanced? Like, because I know we rank the heroes like that.
I would say Rehgar's not terribly difficult, but he's definitely a little bit more advanced, right?
Okay.
He's got a different mount power. In a way, it's a little bit easier to use than some of our other mounts, but it's different, right? There's different ways to use it, to get the most out of it. His healing's pretty straightforward, but his totem, that's going to take a little bit more experience with, like, before you start using it to the maximum potential of that ability, right?
He's melee support, right?
Yeah, that's
just
always a
by
little
his
bit harder.
nature, he's gonna be a little bit more challenging than what we would consider sort of an entry level hero. Somebody like Raynor, who's clearly, built and positioned for newer users to get engaged with the game and understand the game. And we're trying to hide some complexity in him, but really, he's still pretty easy to play, even when you understand the details. But this guy, he's somewhere in the middle.
Nice. And just want to let you know that I own the Rehgar action figure.
Congratulations.
I just felt like telling the
Very cool.
developers that. Okay. All right, moving on. So let's talk now. Dustin, tell me about Garden of Terror.
So when we first went out with the tech alpha back in March or April, I guess it was, of this year, we thought maybe 4 maps was going to be good. We didn't know. Like, we went to BlizzCon with 4 maps. We thought, 4 maps. That's going to be awesome. These battlegrounds will be cool. We'll do that. And I think within a couple of hours of play, we're like, I want more. I need more. Like, I'm seeing the same ones over and over again. I like the variation. I want more variation. So we've got plans to do many more down the road. We think we want to get to 7, 8, or 9 maps, and then we would start rotating maps in and out. That's sort of our StarCraft positioning on maps. Maybe that's too many for Heroes of the Storm, since there's so many more details to how these maps function than a StarCraft map in some ways. So, but we think that's where we want to go. So we've got another map in. We're going to our 5th battleground now for Heroes, which is really exciting. And this is the Gardens of Terror. So in the Gardens of Terror, everything's fine. It's this lovely 3-lane map set in the Nexus. So this is one of our sort of alternate worlds inside the Nexus. This is not any of the worlds from Warcraft. It's not from StarCraft. This is inside the Nexus. And it's these beautiful garden environment. And what you're going to do is you're going to fight in the lanes like you would in any other map in Heroes of the Storm. And then when night falls, what we're going to do is we're going to spawn a bunch of plant monsters out in the gardens between the lanes. So what you want to do is then go out into these gardens and you want to attack all these little plant monsters out there and collect seeds from them and collect all these seeds from these monsters that you've killed. And so at this point, you're probably splitting up as a team to grab as many of these smaller camps as you possibly can, collect as many seeds as possible. There are also some big monsters in the garden, and these are these big sort of plant golem creatures out there, and there's 2 of them. There's one on the north side of the map and one on the south side of the map between the lanes. So you're going to want to go at some point engage with these, and they function a little differently than some of our other creatures in the game. You have to, when you hit these guys, they drop a seed every couple of times you hit them. So now you're not waiting for them to explode and all these seeds spill out. You're trying to hit them and collect the seeds. And they do a little area effect, so you want to avoid the area effect, get in, get the seed, avoid the area effect. Oh, here comes an enemy player. All right, deal with the player, the area effect, the seed, right? And so there's a lot of dancing and a lot of strategy to how to position yourself around these things. So as the evening wears on and you've cleaned out a lot of the smaller plants and collected the seeds, now you want to sort of close in on these big plant monsters and collect the seeds from them. Generally speaking, this is going to be a small engagement, right? 2 to 3 man engagement, probably 3v3 at the top, 2v2 at the bottom, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
Maybe a 3v2 and a 2v3, you don't know, and that's where you're going to fight, try to collect the most seeds. When you collected 100 seeds, you can go back to your base, and there's a little plot of land in your base that you can channel on. And when you channel on that, whoever is channeling it will get to become this giant plant creature, which is a very powerful siege vehicle that you can charge across the map and just annihilate enemy towns.
And that's player controlled.
And that's player controlled. And so you go and channel. Whoever does the channeling gets to be the monster. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get 100 seeds for yourself, and you're trying to prevent the enemy from collecting 100 seeds.
Right.
And because you want to be the only one with a plant monster when day breaks. You don't want to be 2 plant monsters. That's not as powerful for you, right?
Right.
You do get to keep your seeds from night to night. So if you got 67 seeds on one night, you're cool for the next night. You're going to start from there. So there's a lot of strategy as to how to position your team. There's a lot of strategy as to how to engage with the enemy team, and there's lots and lots of choices. Obviously, we've only played internally. We don't know all the strategies yet.
Right.
We're just seeing lots of different options, and once we get it out there into the alpha, we'll really see what strategies rank the highest and how we want to proceed with tuning the map to create a lot of diversity in the gameplay.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is the key takeaways are always go for the objectives, which I think is for all of our maps. And then also lots of communication because you've got a 2-2-1 split or a 3-2 split. So you got to be talking up the entire time.
You really want to have some sense of what you want to do as a team, if possible. And we certainly see that now. Sometimes it is right to go for the big monster right away because you feel like the enemy they're down a player or somebody's pushing still and they shouldn't be.
Right.
Or they're, somebody you think might be going for, a mercenary camp somewhere. So you think, hey, it's cool. We're going to go out and we're going to get that one first. Right before they do. Just like sometimes in Haunted Mines, you go straight for the golem at the end, right? Because you think you've got the advantage, you can get that done before they can do anything about it. As obviously as the game progresses, as you get to that level 15, 16 kind of space, now you're in an environment where any single hero death can be extremely costly. You're probably grouping up at that point into a 4 or 5 man group to engage, and you're probably not splitting between the 2 lanes. But if you're close, to getting 100 seeds, maybe there's a right move there. And so yeah, there's a lot of strategy how to approach the map.
So I know this is kind of an odd question because, once again, we're just internally testing it right now, but is there any recommended heroes for this map in particular or like high mobility guys, or what do you think?
That's a good question. We don't see the mobility being as powerful on this map. We don't imagine that it is when you compare it to something like Dragonshire, right, where the mobility is everything, right? If I want to get to go from top lane to bottom lane to capture both shrines with somebody like Falstad, he's so awesome on that map. Or I want to use ETC to interrupt, a Dragon Knight cap. That's so important, right? Do my stage dive and just wreck everything. This map, because you're moving out, engaging with these, camps and trying to clean out these plant monsters, I think you're going to see anybody with a decent amount of AoE is going to feel pretty good. I think your Zeratul are going to be happy sneaking around at night, right? Watching what the enemy team is doing, and at the same time using his cleave to clean up. I think a lot of the heroes that work well in Haunted Mines, pushing through the mines, are probably going to be pretty efficient in this kind of environment, but we don't know for sure.
Very cool. So there you guys go. So if you have more questions about Garden of Terror, hit us up on the forums. You can talk to us on Twitter @BlizzHeroes or on Facebook or even Reddit. We're all over the place. So awesome, cool. Next topic, progression system update.
Right. So
Yeah.
we've been working on progression systems for a long time, on this. We've had a bunch of feedback way back in, I think, the first, or maybe it was the second Tech Alpha release. We'd done a fix to the game where we said, okay, everybody can, earn quest gold, for playing the game. And we thought to ourselves, we're not going to ultimately do it for cooperative play. We're gonna do that for, PvP, and cooperative play will be just to sort of learn the game and experience the game. And when you're ready, you'll do quests in PvP, and that's what it's going to be. But we couldn't get that done in time for the first Tech Alpha release. And so we just went out there and said, yeah, we're going to fix that later. And the players were playing, and they didn't know we were going to fix that, and they were fine with it. And then we went out with our new update, and we said, hey, we're going to take out gold for cooperative play. And everybody said, whoa, that's not cool. That's what I was doing. Co-op was awesome. I didn't even want to play PvP. I came to this for co-op. What are you guys doing? And so we were like, well, how strange. As we looked at the stats, we're like, oh no, that is what they're doing. That's straight up correct. We looked at the numbers that people were playing and said, okay, we got to fix that. That's not, we didn't need that. We weren't passionate about no gold and co-op. That wasn't a thing. And so we knew we wanted to pull back on that. And we also wanted to be constantly adding more things to unlock in the game. When you're sitting there playing the game, we want the game to be obviously about the experience you're having and trying to defeat the enemy team and engaging with the battlegrounds and learning to play your hero and all of that. Between games, we want you to have goals. We want you to have things that you want to do, whether it's completing quests or leveling up heroes. And so we wanted to make a bunch of improvements to that system. So we sort of saved up a bunch of changes, right, that we kind of wanted, so we could have a complete system that we could evaluate and that our players could evaluate. We could sort of look at the whole thing. So we took out, the requirement of PvP only for quests. And we had a lot of, complaints and feedback from our players about not having gold per game. They said gold per level is kind of cool. I don't mind it sometimes, but I kind of wish you'd give me more gold per game. That would be the more fun way to play the experience. So we did that. We went and said, okay, we're going to do gold per game. We're not going to do as much gold for leveling. And at the same time, we wanted to add the option to level up your heroes even more. We had a quest system for heroes, so you'd complete 2 quests for a hero, you get something. You complete 5 quests for a hero, you get something else. You complete 10 quests, you get a skin, right? And at the same time, we had a system for leveling on your account, right? So as you level up your account, you were earning access to different modes in the game. We always sort of intended this to be the case. There's an account level progression and a hero progression. Previously, the hero progression was kind of hero quests, right? And we thought it'd be cool if it was a hero level and an account level, and you could see the bar moving up on both of those. And you can see an example of that on your screen right there.
Yep.
And so we went in and we made a hero leveling system. And it mirrors the questing system we had previously, but it's got some additions to it that I know has caused some concern in the community in the last couple of days. So we've added the ability to unlock your talents on a per hero basis. Previously, you had to be level 8 to do it, and we thought it would make a little bit more sense if we have something that's tied to the hero and we have a hero leveling system,
right,
that those two would sort of go together. And I know there's been a lot of concern out there in the community that this is going to make it not viable to play a variety of different heroes, that I'm not going to be able to enjoy that, and we're totally hearing that feedback. Like, that's very clear that that's a concern. We have made the tuning for this pretty generous, we think, but it's, again, we haven't tested it a ton. It's like, Matt and I looked at the spreadsheet, right? And we said, yeah, this doesn't seem so bad, right? So we want to get this out there and see what people think. We think it's about 10 games if you're not playing with friends. It'll be more like 5 to 6 games if you're playing with friends in order to get all of the talents for a given hero.
Right.
You'll get your first heroic after 1 game. So we're getting some benefits for the new users as they come in and they learn a new hero. Even a veteran user probably needs to learn a new hero, but that's not really the goal. That's just a side benefit, because we could also go back to the level 8 thing, and that would protect our new users as well. We're really just trying to give you more stuff to unlock, more goals. We're big fans of games like Titanfall and Modern Warfare, and they've got similar systems, right? They've got systems. You've got an account level progression, then they have like a gun level progression,
Right.
which is similar.
Get your new attachments.
Yeah, and you get your attachment to guns. And there's definitely a loss of power, right? In our case, we don't think there's much loss of power, but we know that choosing talents will create synergy. Yeah. And synergy can be power, right? So there will definitely be advanced users who are saying, look, I'm losing power here because I can't create the synergies that I could previously until I unlock the talents. That's totally fair.
Well, for the way I play, right, and this, once again, this is just my opinion. I know a lot of people have different ideas about this. I usually gravitate to 2 heroes. I play Falstead, I play Stitches.
Right.
I do like messing around with the other ones to just see how they, the look and the feel, yada yada, but I'm going to be consistently leveling those guys, so this is not crazy for me.
Right.
And also, like, you know, I'm a COD gamer. I know what it's like to, like, I need that Scar H
Right.
as upgraded as humanly possible. Anyway, though, the most important thing to talk about here is that we are actively listening to your feedback, just like Dustin was saying. So please, if you guys are seeing this as broken or whatever have you, message
cool.
us,
Yeah.
you know? And we'll be
Yeah,
taking
we're
a
enough
look.
of
Yeah.
it, right? Like
Yeah.
we're totally enough. We can
Oh,
totally
yeah.
adjust anything. We can change anything that makes sense to us. We can do anything that makes the game a better experience. I play a wider variety of heroes, right? Like the stats actually support many players play like you do, right? They play a couple heroes. That's a very, very common way to play. But there are many players, myself included, who play a wider variety of heroes. And so this is going to be a test to see is this even viable? Is it viable maybe, but the tuning's off, or is it in the ballpark, right? And we're gonna go out there in the alpha and we're gonna see how that feels and see how that plays. And so we've gotten a lot of feedback already, and we're totally listening to that feedback. And right now we're just dying to play, right? Like I want to get in there. I want to see how it feels when I play. We are going to be, you're going to keep, some of your progressions. So a lot of players out there will actually already have, their favorite heroes. Like you're going to have all of the talents for all of your favorite heroes. But when you go wide, what happens, right? And that's what we want to see.
And actually at the end of the show, well, not at the very end, but we're going to be doing actually questions that we pulled from social over the last couple of days. So we'll actually get to answer some of those.
Sure.
But before that, let's talk about artifacts.
Right. So the artifact system is an idea we've had for a little while to allow you to tweak some of the stats on your hero and to customize a little bit more, deeply than you could otherwise. And we thought this would be something that'd be cool for players. Again, what the game is about out of game is very much earning things and progressing and building up. We want you to have goals. We want you to have things to do when you sit down tonight. I want to get this done. I want to get that done. I want to build in this way. And a lot of that was already in the game in terms of, going through your account progression, earning, gold that gets you heroes, about getting stuff, about building your account out. And so we thought this would be another way that you could sort of build up your character. And give you more choices in the game, let you tune it. We've done everything we could to make the artifacts in discrete buckets, right? So that the choices are hopefully meaningful and difficult, right? So you can't choose, rate of fire bonus and attack damage the same guy. You got to choose which one you want for which hero. Maybe for Nova, you want to go with more of an attack damage bonus, but Vala, you want to go more with a rate of fire bonus because those heroes play a little differently, and that would be what you think is the optimal build. And so we wanted to have that option for our players. Now we're walking the line here on the tuning. We don't want it to be so powerful, right, that you feel like, well, I have to have this or I can't even play. We're talking about 5% total, right? 10% on some of the artifacts, very small bonuses. At the same time, we don't want them to feel like they're meaningless. Like, wow, why do I even care about that? That's kind of lame. So we know that heroes can be a game of inches. Right? In many cases, it's just a big free-for-all and it's a team battle and it's all about teamwork and playing. Sometimes in a 1v1 in lane, it's about 5 and 10 hit points, right? So we know that if you have a 5% change, that is going to make the difference in that moment. If you chose correctly, you will have an advantage there. If you chose incorrectly, you will not. And so we're hoping those are the that's the level of play we're getting at it. We're hoping it's not like, well, I can't even play because I don't have, the artifacts I want for this hero. But again, this is all about tuning, right? It's all about, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it progresses. We'll see how it feels when we play. And this one's certainly coming in pretty hot.
So
this is when we had some testing internally, but not a ton. And this is one of the things that's exciting for us at Blizzard. We've never gone out this early before, right? We've never gone out. I guess we have done some alphas. I don't want to say never, but certainly on Team 1, as long as I've been here, almost 9 or 10 years, we haven't actually gone out with something I would feel like this unready to the public with the game, let alone with a system like this. So we're certainly inviting our players to be more part of the development process, to see what we're thinking a lot earlier. And they're going to see us do some stuff that maybe isn't right or is tuned a little badly, but that's the joy of being in an alpha. You're definitely in a space where you're seeing us try things, as we go forward.
So just to clarify, and I'm going to use Stitches because I always use Stitches as an example, but we have Stitches over here who's got no artifacts, and then we have Stitches on this side that has a bunch. This guy's not going to feel completely nerfed.
That's the hope. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see when we get it out there and see how it plays. He should feel just fine, right? He should feel okay. But we'll see how it goes for sure.
Okay, cool. So actually that's a perfect segue into questions. And actually we've got 3 questions about artifacts. So here we go. By the way, hi Sia Steve. This is from Sia Steve. Are you worried that the new artifact system may conflict with your, quote, easy to play, hard to master ideology?
That's not one of my concerns. I have many concerns about everything we do in the game, artifacts included, but that one I think will be okay because we can gate this to later in the game. So I think right now we're at level 15 that you have to get this. What I think is like, I don't remember the exact number, but it's like 17 to 20 hours into the game before you even see the system. And then you'll have to spend some gold to unlock these things. You don't spend very much gold. I think it's only 100 gold for the first level. Don't quote me. I don't remember who we ended up on the tuning. But it's a very small amount of gold to buy your way into the system, so you can kind of see what makes sense, see how it feels, see if it makes a difference, and see how it plays. And so the hope is, obviously, is that we have delayed it long enough that a new user is absolutely ready for it when it gets there. And if that's wrong, if it needs to be level 20 or level 30 or level 40, rock on, we'll move it. We can just push it out to that position. In terms of hard to master, again, obviously we hope the choices we put in there are difficult, that they affect the way you play in at least a subtle way, and that as a player, you're trying to make these difficult choices. So hopefully it adds to hard to master, and hopefully it doesn't interfere with easy to learn. So I think we're okay, or if we're not yet, we could tune or design our way into okay. But it's certainly a fair question.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the hope would be at least that like players are almost ready for more at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just going with what Dustin said, like,
Right.
Definitely the hope would be, I've played Demon Hunter, 40 games. Is there a little bit more? Artifacts are coming in. Ooh,
what can I do with this?
What can I
right?
do with this? Right?
And that's the hope. That's how we hope how it functions.
Right, very cool. Next one we got from Can't Heals. How are you going to prevent cookie cutter builds with the artifact system?
Well, again, the hope with that is going to be, game design. We're going to hopefully make the choices difficult and interesting, and hope that the heroes themselves are diverse enough that there's a variety of playstyles. I think these guys have done a great job with the talent system. They're still working on that system to make sure that there's a variety of builds possible for each hero. Now, there's certainly going to be heroes that are more narrow. That's just the nature of how they're designed. I think Vala would be a strong example. She's range DPS. That's what she is, right? There's variations within that, but that's what she is, right? And she's very much about her attack damage. These guys have done some talents on her that do provide some more ability power options for her. And there's some stuff you can get with Vault and with Caltrops and stuff that creates a lot of variation in how she plays within the talent system. But it's possible that there's not a huge range of selection of choices on the artifacts for her. If that turns out to be the case for 50% of our heroes, then I think we're in trouble. Right? But if we can get to a place where a lot of our heroes have a decent variety of choices within the artifact system, and there's a few heroes who are kind of singular in how they approach the artifacts, I think that'll be okay. But we're going to evaluate. And again, that's going to be a look and feel kind of touchy thing where we look at it and say, man, I don't know, it seems like a lot of heroes have one build or 1.5 builds. This is not cool, right? Or like, actually, it's only a couple of heroes. Can we live with it? Does it feel right? Does it not feel right?
Right, so once again, takeaway is work in progress. We need
Totally.
a lot of input from you guys and also internally, and we'll be adjusting it indefinitely pretty much.
This one's coming in really hot.
Yeah.
Like this one really is going in very quickly to see how it goes. And we thought it'd be better to get it out in front of people sooner rather than hold it and try to tune it and polish it in an environment where we can't really learn as much as we can learn when we go into an alpha. So we thought the fastest way to make the best game was to get it out there, get it in front of people where we can all test it very quickly and get a lot of feedback on it, because the community of players we have has been very helpful with us so far in a wide variety of ways, whether it be snowballing issues, talent issues, gold per game issues, how they're playing with cooperative. All of these things are things we've been able to make what we feel like are meaningful changes on that I don't know that we would have been as fast off the block to make those changes if we hadn't had a community out there telling us what and why.
Very cool.
We've said it before. I think like a few hours of this game being in the wild, being live, is worth more than a month of testing this internally. So
by volume alone, right? Just by we're literally talking. We can test for 100 hours in a month if we kill ourselves to get that done.
which is a lot.
Which is a lot.
for
Which
our
is a
own
lot of
team,
work.
right?
It's a lot of little team, and then you go out into the wild. You get 100 hours of play testing in more than that in 20 minutes, because that's how many games are happening.
Yeah.
Let alone all of the additional eyes on the game from players who are invested in enjoying the game and helping us make a great game, and all of that enthusiasm immediately is just it's enormous amounts of work that suddenly gets done for the game, makes the game better.
I mean, that's one of my all-time favorite things about our community is how fast we get the feedback.
It's really good.
I mean, it's incredible. These guys go, they play it, a couple hours, they're like, time to update the forums.
Here's what I know, right?
Yeah,
And
which
they'll tell
is
us,
like,
I've played 65 games in the last 2 days, right? Here's what I know.
I
It's
did
like,
not
whoa, okay.
sleep. Here's the
Yeah,
update.
no,
Like,
it's
It's
absolutely
insane.
awesome. It's awesome.
Okay, so next question is from ZPS TV, which I think, if that's ZPTV, big shout out to you. You are streaming Heroes constantly. You are awesome. So I hope that's the same person. Otherwise, okay.
It's still awesome if it's not the same person.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all right.
still
awesome
awesome.
anyway.
It's
but
still an awesome
yeah.
streamer, but yeah.
Yeah, but still. Okay, so the question is, were the existing stats of Heroes tweaked down in order to compensate for the new artifacts? Or are they a straight power boost?
Well, so we've removed a few of the talents in the game. A couple of the earlier talents that were more staff focused. Path of the Assassin, Path of the Warrior. Path of the Wizard. So a couple of those talents that they're just kind of giving you flat stats. We've removed some of those. But as far as the hero power curve goes, no, we haven't lowered tanks' health or lowered DPS characters' damage. So the artifacts are, in an extent, they are in bonus, but we think they'll kind of level each other out. We'll have tanks who probably have a little bit more health, and Nova or Vala who have a little bit more damage. Where it might get tricky is when you have a Nova against Nova, and they both do more damage, and neither of them picked health.
Right. Which is possible.
Which is possible.
Even likely, right? So that's probably the two danger zones would be, right, like you say, DPS versus DPS or tank versus tank, right? It's even harder for the tanks to kill each other. Now, again, probably by about 10%, but we'll see. And again, probably the more scary one is the DPS versus the DPS, because those can be pretty ferocious fights right now. It's sometimes a couple of hits and somebody's dying, right? It'd be pretty. It's like Zerg versus Zerg, Banelings versus Zerg. It's just, oh my God, it's over, right? That can be really quick.
3, 2, 1, and it's
it's over. So that's probably the scariest one in terms of tuning, and we'll have to watch that closely and see. And then obviously you can see a little bit of power creep versus the map. We haven't adjusted the maps anyway, so if you're doing a little bit more damage, you're going to move through those minion waves a little bit more quickly, and we'll have to see how that goes. Again, the numbers are small, shouldn't be shocking. But you never know, right? You never know when you hit some break point or some small thing makes a suddenly huge difference. We've certainly felt that before. We used to talk about that a lot with, death timers. We would often discuss death timers and how can we make them shorter, and we'd beat up poor Mr. Cooper here and make it shorter. And he was something shorter by 5 seconds, and it would literally ruin the game. Like the game would be unending at 5 seconds shorter. Like, oh my God, we are at the razor's edge on this.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're at the razor edge on melee, range DPS, but maybe we are, right? And we'll have to sort of watch the numbers and see.
So those are all the questions right now for Artifacts. So if you guys have more questions, please hit us up on our social channels. Okay, so now we've got 2 questions for the progression changes. Okay. This one is from, and I'm going to slaughter this name, I apologize, Zerchai, Zerchai, Zerkai, possibly. Asks, how do you address the concern that gating talents is going to create hostile and toxic games for players playing new heroes?
It's certainly a legitimate concern, and we don't want that to happen. We'll have to sort of wait and see how the tuning goes. Again, it's not very many games to unlock the talents, and we certainly believe there are very viable builds in all throughout the tree, whether you have only 2 talents or 3 talents available, right? We believe that there's a lot of builds that you can build there. Now, we are looking through that now. We have got some feedback internally and some externally as well as to how certain, tiers on certain heroes, the ones I need are not there. We go, yeah, the ones you need are not there. Okay, we'll rearrange that, right? And so we can certainly rearrange the tiers to make those first 2 talent choices viable. And that's certainly our hope, that when you come in, even if you're a veteran player, it's your first time playing Nova, right? Maybe that's okay. You just have triple tap, right? And that's okay. I know you're awesome. I know you're an amazing player because you're level 40, right? Maybe at that point.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can play a couple of games with this hero, and earn it and get to experience it and explore it as you go. And hopefully that'll be more fun.
Right.
That's our hope, right? The hope is not to make it kind of crappy and less fun. That was never the intent with the system. The hope is that unlocking things is cool, that it's fun to unlock things again, having played maybe a little too much Titanfall, right? That it's cool to unlock stuff for my gun, that I want to do that.
Right.
And that would still be a fun part of it. Give you some goals for the night, something that you are kind of trying to achieve. But we'll certainly see. And we'll certainly see if it becomes insanely toxic, because the minute I see you don't have that, no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start raging at you, like, okay, that's scary.
I mean, this definitely comes back to the talent within the, the content, within the talent tree. Like, if we have talents in there that are just not viable, like, why would I ever pick that? Like, why do I start with that? Like, that's something we want to fix,
why is it in the
right?
tree,
Exactly.
right? Like, why is that there for any tier?
Exactly.
Choice,
So
right?
even if you have 2 choices, we talked about this a little bit earlier, you might not have the best synergies between all your talents for, the more competitive players who see all the possible, choices, but we're hoping definitely any of the choices are viable, and so we're going to keep working on that.
And obviously, you're going to see a little bit, like I know as a player, like when I play Nova, there's a bunch of activateds I like to take as Nova as an example. And those, because we are catering a little bit to the new user for that first part, even that's just a benefit, it's not the goal for new user, because we could just go back to level 8 if we want to protect new user. Sure. You will see the activateds come later, right? Yep. So if you're like, I'm all about like 5 buttons, like, okay, well then you're gonna have to play the 5 to 10 games to unlock the talents. Right. But I think it's a legitimate concern, right? And I think we can certainly watch it and see what happens.
Yeah, no, and I like the weapons examples you're using, like for Titanfall, because once again, I'm playing with a Scar H, and all of a sudden that Honey Badger looks kind of appealing. And even though I'm prestiged, now I can go back and level up that gun and get all the attachments and yada yada.
I can almost hear the guy out there saying it, but this isn't Titanfall, it's Heroes of the Storm, right? Which is fair.
Actually, that just came in.
Can you hear him? Yeah,
also,
I can hear him out there saying it, which is fair, right? Which is totally fair.
It's
point
totally fair.
to that guy, or however many guys are out there saying that right now. It's totally fair. It's not that we're trying to be that game, right? It's just that we've played that game and games like it, and we thought it was fun to unlock stuff, right? And so we're going to see, and maybe this isn't the right system to unlock, or maybe that's not correct. But it's always been our goal to be Heroes, to be a progression game, to be about unlocking things. Maybe these are the wrong things, right? But that was always a goal.
Very cool. Okay, now we got another one from Aussie Snakes. She asks, I understand incremental rewards for heroes, but gating talent / ultimates hurts experienced players and won't help noobs.
Well, again, it's not really about the noobs or the experienced players. We have other ways to protect the noobs. If we want to protect the noobs, we could just go back to level 8, or we make a level 10, or we make a level 20. We don't do whatever we want, right, to protect the noobs.
Right.
You know? In this case, we really, again, it's such a short amount of time. It's only a few games. We're really just trying to give you some goals, something to unlock. We thought it'd be cool. And we thought it made more sense if we have a hero leveling system and an account leveling system, and they have rewards that are based on heroes, that it should be tied to heroes. But again, we'll sort of see how it goes. I think it's going to be something that's kind of fun to do. Obviously, we put it in. But we could be wrong. As I said, we certainly got a lot of feedback that's very distressed about this as an addition. So we'll certainly see how players feel when it gets out there. It's going to be going live very soon. We'll be doing patches not long after. We're on a 4 to 6 week patch cycle right now, right? So we have tuning options can happen in the very short term. Major system changes are probably not the next patch, but the patch after, right? In that kind of sort of milestone that we're working towards right now. But we can certainly see, if it becomes a big problem, we can certainly deal with it.
So once again, keep it coming, guys. We're listening. Okay, so now we've got just a couple general discussions, general questions. We've got one from Ost Modbro. I think it was Mad Bro or something. Okay. With people already asking questions about competitive play, do you see competitive gaming being set on one map or multiple? That's a good question, actually.
I really feel like it's got to be multiple.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's where the game is at its heart. That's what the game is about playing on these different maps. And I think it also changes up team comp quite a bit. I know you guys have been playing some pretty, we call it our try-hard games, right? Where we're not testing, we're just trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
And these guys are, in the bullpen are playing these as frequently as they can. And in that environment, when you know the map, you make a decision about what hero to play, which talents to go. It creates a lot of diversity in the play experience. I think it's more fun to watch, right?
Yeah.
To see it on different battlegrounds, to see it in different spaces, and to see the teams try to deal with these new threats, try to deal with these new environments. Even just the layouts alone change how I play, whether it's a tight map or more open map, whether it's 2 lanes or 3 lanes, it changes how I play. And then when you get the mechanic rolled in, it changes everything again. Which team comp we want to have, what talents we want to choose.
What heroic ability I choose.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the far more compelling experience to play it on a variety of battlegrounds. But at the end of the day, the community is going to make a lot of decisions about how esport works in this game.
I was gonna say,
they made all the decisions for StarCraft pretty much, right? And they said this is what's going to be cool, and we ended up following their lead in almost every case, I think. And so it'll be the same here, right? We'll have to see what the community does, what is the most fun to watch. We have a lot of faith that they will find the way.
Nice. Next question is from Dibface. I like that name. Underdog system has been out for a while now. How do you feel it's working out?
So the first underdog system we put out was, you got more trickle when you were behind. And that was kind of, we knew that probably wasn't the right system, but it was something we wanted to try out, right? It's an alpha. We wanted to see how that worked. So the new underdog system we put out, now you're starting to gain, more XP when you kill a hero who's higher level than you.
So you have to get something done.
Right, you have to get something done.
Which
it's not just a
makes
handout,
sense, right? Like he's higher level, it's harder for you to kill him. You should probably get more for that. He's lower level than you. It's easier for him to kill you. He should probably get less for that, right?
So definitely one of the the goals we have with the game is you're never out of it, right? We don't want it to be, oh, we gave up first blood, we gave up the second kill, oh, game's over, we should just surrender, right? Like so we want a system that lets the winning team be the winning team, and they can show off that they're a better team, but we want it so the the losing team's never actually out of it, right? They always have a chance to come back. Of course, if it's at the 25-minute mark and they wipe,
right?
Oh, okay,
that's probably a defeat, right?
I know I think we have another progression or another change to this coming in where it's a little more granular based off the levels you are. So it's not necessarily we're 2 levels behind, so that's this bonus. It's we're 1.7 levels behind, so that's this bonus, and it's it's a little more fine-tuned. But we're gonna keep playing with it and see which system kind of works.
We've got a decent amount of feedback on it, both positive and negative in recent weeks. Obviously it's died down a little bit, but I've gotten some more feedback internally recently that it still feels a little too much. So it's a line, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
we want you to feel like you're in it. At the same time, we want to feel like if you threw the game, I'm sorry, you threw the game. Right? Like, I'm sorry, you're out. You just lost the game, you know, and we want that to be possible. And getting that tuning, you know, where we want it to be is obviously challenging. And so we're still getting some feedback that it might be a little bit too much. And so we're gonna have to watch. We're gonna have to watch and see. And I think you're gonna see some small changes here, you know, pretty shortly. And then maybe down the road we'll see bigger ones, depending on how it goes.
Nice. Okay, we got time for one more question. And this is from YouFail89. I love these screen. I wish I was that clever with my screen. Mine is Rocket, and it's like ROKCET. So we were like, is that Rocket? I'm like, yep, it's Rocket. Question is, are you planning to get rid of the input lag to make the game smoother and more responsive?
So I'm not sure exactly what the input lag is. I know we have some delays in the game that come over to us from StarCraft, and I know a bunch of work has just gone into this. A bunch of work, and I think it feels much better. But it's really it's going out with this next patch. You guys can see it. I think the engineering staff did an amazing job doing what I think is a pretty significant upgrade to our engine to make it feel a lot more responsive. But I don't want to oversell it. It's really up to the players whether they feel it or not. It's a very touch and feel kind of thing. So I definitely encourage everybody to check it out, you know, when it goes out there in this next patch and see how it feels. See if we made an improvement. We understand the feedback. Nice. I understand what you're asking for. You want that click to be a lot more responsive, and we are on board with that, right? And it's just technical challenges and work on our end to make that happen.
Very cool. So there you guys go. We've got the Shoutcast coming up next, so make sure you stay tuned for that. This is with Kevin Knocke and Matt Cooper. I believe you're on that too.
Yeah.
Just give us a follow at BlizzHeroes on Twitter or Facebook, facebook.com/BlizzHeroes. Thanks again, guys. Let us know what you think.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Shoutcast. I am Kevin Knocke, joined alongside by Matt Cooper, and today we're looking at some of the newest content that you'll soon be able to play in the Heroes of the Storm Technical Alpha. We'll specifically be looking at our brand new hero Rehgar, as you can see right there, and we'll be playing this game out on our newest battleground, Garden of Terror. So to go ahead and get things started, Matt, why don't you let us know exactly who Rehgar is and what his kit is supposed to be?
Yeah, so Rehgar, he's our newest support character, and he's very aggressive. Something that's a little bit different about him is his trait and his mount power allows him to transform into a wolf, as we can see him running around. So this means he doesn't get knocked off his mount, he doesn't get knocked off his wolf form when he takes damage, and he can use it a lot more aggressively in combat.
Yeah, and Rehgar is not a traditional support. I mean, this to me, as I've played him, over the course of our internal alpha, he is the one who most embodies kind of that philosophy of a brawler to me, to be totally honest. When you think of big bruisers, you usually think of big tanky guys, but no, this is a true support character who has a lot of abilities to engage directly one-on-one in lanes.
Yeah, absolutely, and it kind of depends how you spec him too. Like he can definitely play the very supporty character, go for more of the heal spec, or as we might see here, Trick can definitely play him a little bit more aggressively, using the talents for his wolf form and be able to dive in on enemies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and specifically at his tier 1, we actually saw Empowering Charge taken by Trixler there. What exactly does that do for Rehgar?
So Rehgar's W ability is Lightning Shield, and he can cast Lightning Shield on himself or allies, and it does some damage. We can see it's on him right now. And Empowering Charge means whenever he casts Lightning Shield, that target will have more powerful auto attacks while that Lightning Shield is active. So if he wants to, cast this on himself or on allies, he's basically adding like a DPS boost to his team.
So that definitely seems like he's moving down towards that more aggressive route, like you said before. What are maybe some more support style options that he could have taken there?
Yeah, so he definitely has a healing totem variant at tier 1. It's a little bit different. We wanted to kind of theme it a little more, shaman-y, orc-like because of Warcraft 3 and stuff like that. So it's actually a little bit more powerful. It has a shorter cooldown, or he could have lowered the mana cost of his chain healing ability, his Q.
All right, now we just noticed that the whole screen went dark. Night has fallen here on the Garden of Terror. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so on this battleground at nighttime, the plant monsters come out in the jungle, and players want to try and kill these monsters to collect seeds. In the bottom right corner, we can see the seed count. We got the right team with quite a few more seeds. And if you can collect 100 seeds, you can power up your plant monster and control it, and it's great at sieging enemy bases.
Yeah, it's a lot like, for those of you out here who may have seen games on Dragon Shower before, when you channel this plant whore, you actually physically become the plant whore. So it is used. Unfortunately, Rehgar gets taken out there in this little fight. And it looks like his team is actually going to give up this golem as well. A lot of seeds going to go to our red team there. They're actually almost at that 100 and can go capture their plant whore, as we mentioned before. But as I want to say, the plant whore is a little different than Dragon Shower in that it's not just a one-team advantage. If both teams have over 100 seeds in their inventory at any given point in time, they can both go channel plant whores.
Yeah, and kind of one of the interesting things on this map is the first night there's actually, well, every night there's 180 seeds, and you carry over your seeds from previous nights, but it means on the first night, you know, both teams could get 90, but more than likely one team's going to get more than 100 and the other team is not.
And as we saw, that's exactly what happened here. You actually have to channel for this plant horror all the way back at your base. So looks like someone from the red team did that. They're actually walking out onto the map now. Now that plant horror, in addition to being a big tanky thing that can push lanes, also has a couple of abilities. You mind letting us know exactly what that plant horror can do?
Yeah, so Spore Queen's Curse is it's a fairly low cooldown ability, and it's basically it's an AoE skill shot, and if you land it on any enemy heroes, they get transformed into like a little plant zombie, and they can move around at slower speed, they do less damage, and they don't have access to their abilities. And the other ability that we see in the town right now is the Plant Horror Overgrowth. This is on a little bit of a longer cooldown, and it disables an entire town while it's active. It also does damage to the buildings. So that's kind of the core kit of this plant monster. You want to get that into the town, and the other team wants to try and destroy it.
Yeah, and that Overgrowth actually does have health associated with it. As you saw Rehgar take it down, if someone throws the Overgrowth on top of one of your towns, just walk into the middle, destroy that plant that you see there, and that Overgrowth will actually recede. And we have a bit of a scuffle here in the middle. Now, we did pass the second tier of talent choices for Rehgar. He ended up taking Feral Heart, which is a really good protective ability, let's say.
Yeah, he'll basically have increased mana and health regeneration while he's in his Ghost Wolf. So that's great if he's, traveling between lanes a lot, if he's moving through the jungle. Depending on how often you're in your wolf form, this can definitely give you enough mana regeneration where you can, spam your healing abilities a little bit more. And there's a couple other choices he could have gone there, which, could be more or less aggressive.
Okay, and we just saw level 7 pass there as well, so we're already working into the third tier of talents, and we saw Shadow Wolf actually taken by Trixler there, which does cloak Rehgar for a couple of seconds whenever he enters the wolf form. And that's actually a really useful way to sneak up on enemies when they aren't expecting it.
Yeah, and especially because you can use this in combat, taking damage does not knock you off your mount per se. He can use this in combat, and you might not know where he is for, half a second or a second while he's either getting away or closing in on you.
And one thing that we've seen Rehgar do quite a few times over the course of this match is actually putting down that totem, not necessarily to support his teammates or benefit from that AoE, but rather just for pure vision, and that is something you can do with it.
Yeah, the totem doesn't have a lot of cast range, but it definitely has enough, and it lasts, decent amount of time where if your team is fighting one of the big monsters at nighttime, you can put it in the shrubs, and it gives you a little bit of vision for that amount of time. All
right, so we see that once night disappears on Garden of Terror, all of those minions that are scattered around the map, the siege giants, the knights, they actually pop back up. There are no grave golems on this map. They are replaced by the large plant golems that you actually grab seeds as night falls. But that is one interesting mechanic here. Those camps will actually disappear completely when night falls, and they'll be replaced by the seed-bearing monsters.
Yeah, and this is something we're exploring with internally. Like, do we want to turn them off, or should they remain on? Stuff like that. And there's good and bad things about both, I guess. But yeah, we're trying both out.
And I do want to remind everyone, of course, that this is alpha footage that you guys are looking at, so things will be continued to be improved over the course of the development of this game. There was a little bit of an advantage for Red Team right now. Important to note, because where night has actually fallen, they can start to move into the gardens with their heroic abilities right now, which gives them the ability to bully out teammates, or bully out the opponent's team. And looks like they're going to try and take down Vala here in the bot lane. Really good support from that totem, and that's going to be enough to turn around the fight. With the support of Abathur on top, they take the fight, and they will be able to push back these siege minions. Now, let's talk a little bit about strategy here. We're at a point where blue team has already given up one plant horror to their opposing team. Should they really be concentrating on seeds right now, or is it better for them to try and pick off people and push lanes?
I'm not sure we know yet. I mean, we'll definitely learn a lot more live, but you definitely want to try and collect as many siege as you can. Being able to get a couple of early towns could, help snowball you into victory a little bit. So I think they definitely want to try and, go fight one of those big monsters, the white skulls we can see on the minimap. And it looks like they're going to go do that now.
And blue team did catch up. They have hit level 10 as a result of that kill, so now we see heroic abilities being taken for both sides. Rehgar actually has two different heroic abilities, one being Bloodlust and the other being Ancestral Healing, two very different purposes, and would you mind letting us know when it's maybe appropriate to take either one of those?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like here we have Rehgar, who has an Abathur on his team. Abathur has the ability to shield allies when he uses symbiote on them. So in a way, Trick's team kind of has two support characters. So he can play a little bit more aggressive here, and he takes Bloodlust, which gives a big mobility and attack speed boost. So it kind of allows his team to win fights.
All right, well, we'll see if it can let him win fights there. He uses it, they immediately get a kill, but unfortunately they were taking the full brunt of Nazeebo's ults the entire time, the Witch Doctor doing some serious damage there. Looks like Abathur did jump on top of Stitches. He wants to make another one of those big dudes, but it's not going to be enough to completely clean out the red team, who does take a 1-level advantage once again. So now we're at a point where we are possibly going to see plant horrors for both teams. There was one already summoned for the red team. It's working at the top lane, and it looks like Trixler is thinking of taking the blue team, so we may have competing plant horrors for a second. All right, so it looks like that plant horror is moving out on the map, but red team has already secured a nice little advantage by using overgrowth on that top fort, so they can easily move in with it completely disabled and take this out. So what has kind of been your guys' general strategy with plant horrors so far? Or you find that it's maybe similar to the Dragon Knight, where you just walk up, tank turrets, try and do as much damage to objectives as possible? Or has your team found other uses?
We've definitely seen some similarities. Because of the overgrowth ability, he can actually disable the towers, so you don't always need your team with you. This town's actually not really doing that much damage to him, but if you get the full enemy team attacking you, you're actually going to go down pretty quick. So we've definitely seen some situations where it is best to kind of go in alone while your team maybe pushes a different lane or takes some jungle camps. But other times you're just going to die too quickly, so you kind of need your team there to back you up.
And it looks like Sonya does decide to take out that overgrowth so the turrets can start firing once again. And you see that this is what will start to turn it around for Sonya. She does take out that plant horror. Rehgar is forced to turn back into his wolf form, and he may not get out of here. Abathur tries to support, but that is not going to be enough.
All right. And False Dad came in there a little bit late, it looks like, and that's not going too well either.
No, that flight does take a little while to actually get over there. It's a very useful mobile ability, but False Dad arrives just a bit too late. And we have actually progressed past the 5th tier of talents now. We've reached level 13, and it looks like we actually took Feral Lunge here for Rehgar. Do you mind describing what that does for him?
Yeah, so Feral Lunge, basically, Rehgar, he can't attack while in Ghost Wolf form, but he can do one attack before he transforms back, and this is a bit of a critical. So with Feral Lunge, he now lunges at the target when he's doing that one attack. The critical bonus is bigger, and this is really going to play with his previous talent of the Shadow Wolf, where he's cloaked. So now he's cloaked and he's lunging at his enemies.
Yeah, so it gives him that extra little bit of damage, and it looks like he and Falstad... No, Falstad's out of there. He's going to help up at the top to snag a little bit of, looks like some Siege Giants there. Rehgar clearing up these Siege Giants down at bottom, and the rest of his team comes to back him up. But we're at kind of a tenuous part of this game. The blue team is down by 2 levels. The objective control for the red team is pretty strong. What are some ways, utilizing the map mechanics, they can slowly start to pull themselves back into this?
Well, they definitely need to start winning more of the seed fights, I think. They haven't been doing so well in that department. So I think, nighttime is falling soon. I think anticipating for that and maybe having the whole team together. There's definitely been a couple periods where they're down a man at the start of the night, which is going to hurt them. So hopefully they can keep their Falstad alive here.
Oh, and it looks like Falstad was polymorphed just as he was using his heroic ability as well, so he stops any damage from coming out. Nazeebo does not snag that kill on Sonya. She's able to make her way away with just just very low health. Rehgar dies in the meantime. Brightwing jumps in, heals up her team just a little bit. This is 4 members of blue team still remaining, but their ability to push here is a bit limited, especially as Siege Giants and Vala are taking out the top turret for them.
Yeah, it seems like you should probably send someone back right now, but I would actually stop chasing at this point and try to secure that big monster up top. It might be a little risky right now, though, with the red team really pressing.
Yeah, looks like red team sneaks a kill out. Zeratul gets away. A very nice play on his part. That is an Abathur Stitches there, not a real Stitches, and he does end up going away, but well done to Zeratul to sneak away with very little damage. Now, this is a big deal right now. As Rehgar makes his way in, he's not able to stop the destruction of the fort, which means that catapult minions are going to start spawning for our red team. And Jashi doing a little bit of damage here. He's able to duel with Rehgar pretty well because he can stand outside of the range of that core. And you see he whittles down his health to about 1/3 there, but he's got to be careful not to overstay his welcome. All right, and it looks like our blue team is about to hit level 16s, and that's going to introduce a new tier of talents for Rehgar. So let's look at this situation right now. Rehgar's down a couple of levels. He's been building pretty aggressively so far. When level 16 hits, what are some possibilities of talents for him to consider?
So you have Forked Lightning, which is whenever Rehgar casts Lightning Shield on an ally, he's also going to get it on himself. So that kind of, in a way, that 2-for-1's your Lightning Shield, which is really useful. Might not be the best in this game. He can go Earthgrass Totem, which allows you to have longer cast range on your totem, and it also snares enemies when it first goes down. So that's going to be really good right now. It'll give his team a little bit more control, which they could definitely use. Blood for Blood is a generic talent, but I think this one would actually be pretty solid on Rehgar here right now. It'd give him a pretty big heal, so in those fights where Vala's low, Rehgar's low, that could actually help him win that fight.
And Blood for Blood is actually something that I think is very underrated right now. It tends to be my default choice on a lot of assassins at the moment. For those of you who don't know, Blood for Blood not only steals and leeches life from an opponent, it's an activatable ability, but it also slows them as well. So for a lot of your assassins or your very mobile heroes like Rehgar is, especially with his ability to start lunging, it gives him that necessary ability to get in and sneak in more damage. All right, Rehgar is going to try and go one-on-one with a plant horror here. And it looks like an Abathur Falstad will make his way up there. Man, that Abathur has just been awesome this entire game. If there's been an MVP, and it's not because I was Abathur, it has to be Abathur.
I would think so, yeah.
Boom. Done.
Abathur's playing solid this
Matt
game.
Cooper has said it, and it is the fact now, and I don't need to play any more heroes apparently as a result. Now, let's see here. That'll be my best moment I ever have. This plant horror is actually sneaking its way, as you notice, into a keep. It's actually going to make its way into the back of that town down at the bottom, but this opens up the rest of the blue team an ability to push across the map. And looks like at tier 6, our Rehgar actually did take the Earthgrasp totem, which gave him that additional cast range on there. Now, that's very nice because we've seen over the course of this game that Rehgar has actually chosen to use his totems more as vision than anything else, and this benefits that because he can start to put it in some sneaky places, especially over terrain.
Yeah, it'll definitely, where he's trying to use that to scout for his team, it'll definitely play off that role more.
All right, so this has not been a terrible situation for our blue team lately. Yes, their objectives have started to get pushed in. They're missing forts, they're even missing keeps, and catapult minions are out there. But they've started to retake objective control, and they're actually tied in levels with the red team right now. So Knight is going to fall again soon, and we have a situation where both teams are very close in seeds. I have to think that's a priority for them when Knight falls again.
Yeah, I would think so, especially if you can go into the night close to your seed count, same with your enemies, and take all the seeds, not even all of them, but basically deny your enemy, I guess they need 38 seeds. You deny them enough seeds where they can't get a monster, and you could actually pick up 2 monsters on the next night. That's huge. You can definitely, take out a couple towns with those 2 monsters. Absolutely, and we'll see if they do just that. Rehgar pushing this bottom lane out here, and that's not bad. There hasn't been a lot of action this entire game in bot lane. Both outer forts are still standing. Looks like our Witch Doctor will come over and try and break this up a bit. With Brightwing there, they're going to have to move away. No Stitches makes his way in from the side. Knights are pushing up as well. So the objective control has been not bad for blue team, better than it has been in the past. There's still one empty camp in the top right-hand corner that's near Rehgar's, or that's near red team's control. Which I saw, I think, a strafe out of Vala there to try and deal with those Knights. They want to take those away very quickly. All right, so
Is this a reasonable decision from our blue team right now? Sit, wait, and try and capture someone out here? Or do you think they should be more focused on moving out on the map and getting objectives?
Well, there's not a lot of objectives up right now. We know night is coming soon. We see the timer back up. And they know if they can pick off a kill, they get the Vala there. That's pretty huge going into nighttime. They're going to be able to go into nighttime for about 20 or 30 seconds with a dead Vala, which is huge. If they can pick off someone else, that'll even be better.
They may be able to. Very nice job. Nazeeba goes down. Our Witch Doctor has fallen, and it's still a 5-man push for our blue team. Now, this opens up a lot more objectives on the map, and wow, Rehgar just going to straight up tank some damage here to make sure that this fort goes down. Oh, this may get him caught out as Zeratul jumps in from the side. He does have a lot of damage. Is it enough to ward him away? It looks like it is. Oh, great hook from Stitches.
Well, this is great. This is a 5-on-2 now. Red team's only got two guys. They're Demon Hunters coming up in about 20 seconds. There's no reason that blue can't control most of the objectives now, get most of those seeds.
Yeah, I actually think they were maybe even a little slow to react to those. They were really insistent to kill those last couple of structures, and now the members of Red are starting to pop back up. If Blue Team had moved right in, they may have been in a situation where they could have grabbed both of the big golems and taken the lion's share of those seeds away.
Yeah, if you can definitely clear, it's pretty hard to, contest both bottom and top. But in that situation, when they're up 5-on-2, that's definitely a possibility. Send 3 guys bottom, 2 guys top, and at worst case scenario, it's a 2-on-2 fight somewhere.
Absolutely, but it looks like they will secure 1 golem at the very least. Another one is falling for the red team in the north, and if they're able to get that, which I don't think blue team can react in time to completely finish this up, looks like there will be a plant horror available for both of our teams at the same time. Now, of course, we did pass level 20 for the blue team, which means they have access to their storm powers. Now, you will always have 3 options available to you. In this case, it looks like Rehgar has Fury of the Storm, Storm Shield, and Gladiator's War Shout available because he did end up taking the Bloodlust heroic.
Yeah, so Gladiator's War Shout would be, a great choice here. It makes his Bloodlust a global spell. Now he doesn't have to be near the allied heroes to use it. And it's also going to affect all the minions, which means you get some pushing in whenever you use this ability.
All right, and like we said, he did have other options available to him, some that were specifically around his auto attacks if he would have taken Fury of the Storm, but this does seem to be a very logical decision for him. And as we see it, though, there is a plant horror actually up for both teams right now. The plant horror for the blue team forced to come back and deal with the red team because yet another keep goes down here. There'll be 2 sets of catapult minions pushing, and the catapult minions for red are already at the core of the blue team. All right, so in this situation, red team hits their storm powers right now. Oh, strafe used by Vala. Is she going to be able to get away? No. Great grab from Stitches there, and he will be able to snag another kill. So red team's really on the back foot right now. There's a plant horror that's up for blue team. What do they need to do to capitalize this opportunity that they have right now?
Well, at this point, it looks like they're down, 2 of their 3 barracks. So ideally, they want to get this middle town here. They want to take down this barracks and at least even out the middle lane. There's only 20 seconds left on that plant horn, and it's going down really fast. This is definitely a situation where, having your team there to support you, take away some of that DPS is probably what you need.
All right, well, the rest of the blue team catches up, so they will re-engage. That is actually Abathur sitting inside of the plant horror right now, so
gotta play a little cautious.
Yeah, an awkward position for him, too, because time's about to run out, so it's not like he can run up and throw one last overgrowth, because if Abathur appears anywhere near a team, he'll just instantly die. Okay, so both teams are now at level 20 or up, which means all talents are chosen. Strategies have pretty much been decided throughout this game. What are things that our teams can now do to kind of separate themselves at this stage if they really want to sneak a strong advantage?
Well, I think at this point you want to be really on top of the jungle camps. Nighttime just ended. It's not coming up for a couple minutes. So if you can take out those all those mercenary camps, you're no longer going to have those pushing against your team, even if they're not doing a lot for you. At least you don't have to put out that fire on the map. Blue team being down so many forts, they kind of have to take all those merc camps if they can.
Oh, and they sneak a nice kill there, but unfortunately they got a little bit too close to those turrets, and 2 of their own members died. So what could have been that final little turnaround for the blue team from their early disadvantage in this game, which gives them the ability to push a couple of keeps, now all of a sudden they're on the back foot, and Tassadar's in danger of dying. And it looks like Tassadar may fall here. Just a couple of hits left. Zeratul just needs to jump in one more time, and we have an advantage for the red team. Now, this game had been swung against them very much against them, and they finally worked themselves back into this. Yes, there is a plant horror that's up for the blue team. Looks like he's actually going directly after the Witch Doctor, at least trying to push him away to allow his Overgrowth to do more work. But red team has an opportunity here to backdoor the blue team, potentially.
Yeah, definitely. With this many blue players down, and of course, they don't have any defense left on their mid or top lane, so there's a lot of opportunities. There's always going to be catapults going against their core. And it looks like these Siege Giants are, they might get in a decent amount of damage, although we have 2 characters coming up in a second.
All right, so that was a team kill. The Plant Horde did snag a kill on the Witch Doctor, but unfortunately Abathur is going to be down for the next 45 seconds. And you mentioned that you want to take control of minion camps at this point, and this is the perfect time for the red team to do just that. Blue team is occupied with minions that are pushing their core, but red team is actually showing their face. They want to try and close this out soon. That is very risky.
That's a very aggressive play. Blue's got most of their team back online. They're only missing one guy. It's pretty hard to seal the deal here when, levels are pretty close, and it's going to be, at best a 4-on-5 fight at their core.
Pretty strong amount of damage coming out from Stitches. Turret does take down one member of red team. 2 have fallen overall in the fight. Sonya actually took Resurgence of the Storm there, so she's back up almost immediately after she dies and will be a factor in this fight. And what was a 3-for-2 effectively turns into a 2-for-2 now with Resurgence of the Storm. And Trickler's going to push out these catapult minions and ensure that his core doesn't take any unnecessary damage. But red team is in a decent spot now. Blue team has to be careful not to overcommit. If anyone gets caught out in the open, this essentially gives red team the opportunity to push in one of 2 lanes and try and end the game.
Yeah, their base is so exposed right now. They almost have to have someone who's, kind of babysitting. But at the same time, they want to be out there taking the jungle camps because that's more pressure that they don't need to be on them right now.
And this is especially good for the red team right now. As you saw, they just took a set of camps right now. That's going to be pushing its way out on the map. But night's about to hit. In fact, there's only 10 seconds left for them to start working at these night camps before they'll disappear. And it looks like Rehgar will, in fact, make it there. So the night camps will stay, but camps are already pushing out on the map for red team as night falls, which means blue has to deal with them, which means they're not actually looking at seeds.
Yeah, this is perfect for red. Ideally, they should just be going for as many seeds as they can right now. And it looks like they even picked up another merc camp near the top there right before the nighttime.
Yes, they did, and I did see those seeds go up ever so slightly for the red team, so they're starting to work at that golem right now. We'll see how the blue team reacts. It looks like Trixler is calling for a kill on more seeds here and potentially a move over to this golem off to the right-hand side. So what is best case scenario for blue right now? They know that, like you said, they have to babysit, but they have to be cognizant of the fact that anyone could be grabbing seeds at this point. How do they split their attention their most effectively?
I think best case scenario at this point is they know they can't contest both parts of the jungle. We already, top part's already gone. They need to try and get the seeds on the bottom so that they can get a plant horror. But then they need to be able to defend the enemy plant horror. Oh, this is not good.
No, and in fact, they left a few seeds just sitting on the ground. Red team came and picked them up, and that's what gives them the over 100 that they need. Nevertheless, this golem also dying as well. Looks like Zeratul is going to sneak away with just a little bit of health. No. That is an Abathur Tassadar there, so it's not too bad if he does end up falling. Oh, a great ult comes in from the Witch Doctor, though, and that cleans up the blue team. They're now down 3 members. Don't forget, one of those is an Abathur. It's not like he's going to be in the mix for fighting here, and red team has an excellent opportunity to try and push.
Right, they only have a Stitches and Abathur right now. And you kind of need someone to be watching, that top lane or that middle lane. And Abathur can probably do that with his symbiote, but Stitches can't really go out there and contest, 3v1 by himself.
And the best part about this is that the red team is not only up a player on the map, they're also over 100 seeds. They have done a very effective job at grabbing those from the garden so they can come back, grab a plant horror, and start running down the lane if they want to.
Yeah, and at this point, do you push bottom, take out the final town, or do you go straight for the core? I guess we'll have to see.
All right, looks like Abathur was trying to soak up some experience in the bot lane. He pushes back and actually kills the keep. So at the very least, blue team does have one wave of catapult minions pushing. If they can stretch this game out a little bit longer, it'll open up an opportunity for them to push if they win a big team fight. But right now, it's pretty much in red's hands. They have an active plant horror on the map right now.
Yeah, and we see that it looks like it's going to be coming down the middle lane. And you kind of wonder, is the
Is the red team with that plant horror? Are they going to try and be sneaky and go somewhere else? And you really don't know until you see it.
And there's the plant horror for the red team, and it looks like their team is backing them up, at least Vala for now. They could honestly attempt to straight up push the core, but that is always incredibly risky. If you try and just dive on the core, there's a possibility you get wiped out and the other team can move in and win. Pretty nice ult from Vala there. Strafe takes out a lot of damage. Falstad comes back in from the side, but they can't land any of the kills on anyone at the back. Zeratul is actually killing a lot of people. He snags 1 kill, may grab himself a second as well, and this plant horror is almost unopposed now. 3 members down for blue, and this could be GG outright. Rehgar falls as well, and the red team looks like they'll be able to clean up the core. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is actually going to be the game for the red team, but this was a look at our newest Battleground Garden of Terror and also our newest hero in Rehgar as well. This will be coming very soon to the Heroes of the Storm Technical Alpha. As always, ladies and gentlemen, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook. We're at Blizz Heroes on all 3. But until our next Dev Q&A and Shoutcast, have a great day.